Ladies and gentlemen, psychos and Patriot fans, we can all finally take a quick breather. Our 2025 Parkersburg South High School Patriot varsity football team has got their first win of the season. If I was John Marshall this week, I probably would have stayed down in Glendale, West Virginia, as Coach Thompson and the boys got the job done this week, defeating the Monarchs 41-14. And the fact for John Marshall is that you named your school after a Supreme Court member a long time ago. Why can't you figure out the case of why your football team could only score 14 points? Now, John Marshall came into this game 3-0. Our Patriots, unfortunately, at a hard record of 0-4. They thought they could come into Erickson and start their season 4-0, but little did they know that the Patriots do not back down, and all it takes is a little push to get this season back on the right direction. And if you're a bored South student in the city of Parkersburg, you can't find much to do. There's nothing better than a Friday night showing under the lights at Erickson. We got a great student section, a working football team that's finally getting their stride hit, and of course, a lovely marching band performing their show with Billy Joel. Speaking of Billy Joel, we didn't start the fire, but there was a fire lit under that football team tonight. And everyone always wants to talk about the offense, the points, all the big plays, the throws downfield. But you gotta look at the basics, the nitty-gritty. We already know that John Marshall only scored 14 points, some of those coming in garbage time. Our South defense made some great plays throughout the whole game, and even put up some points on the board. And for a team that's trying to find its footing, it is so important that your defense forces turnovers to give the offense more opportunities to score. That's exactly what we saw tonight. Several forced fumbles, a couple interceptions, and an all-around good time. And on defense, you really got to set the tone, and we did that in the first quarter. Caden Johnson at midfield forcing a fumble, picked up by Dedrick Riggs, and that would really set the tone for how we were going to play football on defense tonight. Later on, we'd see another takeaway on the ground. This time, it's Camaro Jackson. We hear his name a lot. He has that name for a reason, folks, the way he speeds after the quarterback. He chased after Knapp, stripped the ball from him. It was picked up by Asa Yost. 71-yard scoop and score to the Casa. The student section was fired up, and at this point, we knew that this defense came to play. And if you really want to talk about a momentum shift, we all saw the ball come out, and we thought he was down. I turned my head for a split second, and I see ACOs running all the way down the sideline. Camaro Jackson already had 7 sacks on the year, definitely stepping up for the defensive line. And this was just definitely a great play overall, and one that really got the crowd hyped up. And I hate to throw shade, but you could call that John Marshall quarterback Santa Claus, the way he was handing gifts to the defense all night. And maybe after this game, he'll consider a transfer over here to Parkersburg South. I mean, he loves throwing it to the Patriot uniform, as we saw. We had 2 interceptions, one from star receiver Taj Joyce, and one from Channing Barrett as well. Now, this combined effort on the defensive side of the ball really flourished for the offense as it kept giving them opportunities to get down the field. Coach Thompson and Kenzen Lutchman Singh were really trying to get in rhythm for this one. We've seen little improvements over time, but really the offense has struggled so far this year with some false starts and different things like that. So this is really important that the defense was able to give them more opportunities to get comfortable. That's exactly what they did, and the defense was able to hold them. 28-0 at the halftime is your score. And if you can fly around the football as well as the Patriots did on defense, that just obviously means that your offense is going to be able to do great things. And only 7 points were scored by the defense, so those other 34 had to have came from somewhere. And that's right, we're going to get to the offense, as we've seen the best game from them so far this season. Now, when we see Taj Joyce on the field, we already know the ball is going his way. He scored a touchdown in the red zone, finished 4 catches for 50 yards. Also, as I mentioned, had that interception on defense. So he had another really good game as he leads the team in receiving at this point in the year. So a really good season for him as he's proving to be that number 1 guy. And as we clearly saw against John Marshall, Joyce was not the only receiver getting involved. We also had some action from Channing Barrett on the other side and Derek Sandy as well. Sandy scored a touchdown on the ground and one in the air, compiling 2 for the night. And I can kind of see why South has him playing all over the field on both sides of the ball, really showing his versatility, and that is something you cannot take for granted. So 2 scores for him that helped lead to this big victory. And then, of course, the player who had probably the best stat line for tonight, all said and done, we had Channing Barrett making plays on offense and defense. He had a monster game through the air. He racked up 5 catches for 117 and a 49-yard touchdown reception. Also had a pick earlier, as I mentioned, and then had an insane pass breakup. If you were there, you know exactly which one I'm talking about. Absolutely leveling the John Marshall receiver, letting him know that we're standing on business. So I'd say overall in this game, he had really a Travis Hunter type of game, as I like to call it, making plays on offense and defense, and doing everything he could to get our team the win. So a great overall showing from the receiver core in this game against John Marshall. And when we look at the receivers catching the ball, we have to look at who's throwing them the ball. That would be senior Kenson Lutchmansing, trying to get this offense going and get some momentum rolling for the rest of the season. And tonight he did just that, going 12 for 17, 202 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. A really good game from him as he finally was starting to look comfortable tonight, and it really paid off in the end. And when we look at the offense as a whole, this really has to be a big confidence booster. We saw them come alive a little bit against PHS in the heartbreaking rivalry loss, but in the end of the day, they couldn't get it done. But here, we saw some glimpses of what was going good. The short passing game, yards after reception, everything was looking great. And Lutchmansing stayed poised and collected in this game, which led us able to rally a 41-14 dominant victory. Patriots over the Monarchs. But that's not all. The pass game works, yeah. But you have to run that football, baby. And that is exactly what we did tonight. Missing Cooper Jackson to an injury, unfortunately. But don't worry, next man up, and we really saw that on display. In the absence of Jackson at running back, we saw some absolutely filthy carrying by sophomore Jaquay Brown, scoring an electric 42-yard run. He had 11 rushes in this game for 72 yards, and that touchdown was just incredible, the way he was spinning and juking out those Monarch defenders. And when your offense can play so collectively with good football, passing and running going great together, blocking going great together, you know you're going to be able to win the game. You leave the Monarchs in roadkill, laying on the field. They don't know what the heck they're doing. And it was really just an impressive showing from this Patriot offense. Something that I hope will continue after their bye week next week when they go to play Hurricane on the road. Hopefully we can get the job done. But this week on offense, I would be very happy if I was Coach Thompson. And this game against John Marshall was really the embodiment of absolute domination, leading a 41-0 lead in the fourth quarter. What are you going to do? Kick 30 onside kicks? Of course not. We really set this game, put the pedal to the metal, and got the job done before the game was even over. And my true guess is their total 3 fans were probably getting mad and leaving the stands early. And let's be for real, if you name your team the Monarchs after a butterfly, you're probably going to get stomped like an insect. But what else can I really say? It's just business. And speaking of business, our student section was jumping tonight. And I never thought I'd have to say this, but the student section was not all sunshine and rainbows. We had some PHS intruders coming in, and we laid down the law. And oddly enough, one of the intruders was sitting right beside me, and I didn't even notice. And I asked her, who are your top 5 favorite teachers at South? And she stood there looking dead off, like dead on the ground, kind of like the John Marshall secondary. And it was very sad. But I don't know, folks, maybe the acting department over at PHS just needs some work, because that was a horrible display of faking a South student. I mean, good lord. But thank goodness for our amazing student section. We got the boys after them, the Hound Dogs chasing them out through the stands, and I don't think they're coming back anytime soon. And everyone at the student section was looking absolutely dapper. We loved the business theme. Everyone looked like they were ready to write the Art of the Deal book, and it was incredible. And like I mentioned earlier at the start of the podcast, when you spend a Friday night at Erickson under the lights with the brand new turf, beautiful painted end zones and that South logo in the middle, it just really hits different. I mean, what else are you going to do on a Friday night? Show up, support your team, watch them whoop some butt. And even if they don't, you're still in for a really fun time. But enough of the razzle-dazzle, it's time to get back to talking about football. Now everyone around the school has kind of been giving up on the team already. There's been a couple tough losses for an 0-4 start, starting with Wheeling Park, and then University, Woodrow Wilson, and of course, the heartbreaker at PHS. But all it takes, I'm telling you, is one win to get the season back on track. The Patriots have a bye week this week, and then they're going to head down to Hurricane to play them, where they are struggling themselves with an 0-5 record. And as for John Marshall, their 3-week undefeated start ends here as they head to Warren next week to play on the road. And hopefully they don't let their poor play continue into the Warren game, or else their hopes will be as empty as their student section. And as South is going on to a bye week, if we want to look at their next opponent in Hurricane, you think South is having a rough season. Oh boy, the Redskins are getting their butts handed to them. As I said already, they're 0-5, 5 blowout losses. Their first week was 42-7, then 45-12. They lost to PHS 45-16, Huntington 68-20, and Cabell Midland 62-7, which South will play Cabell Midland later this season. And I did my research on Hurricane now, and there's really not a lot of exciting stats to report. And I mean, with these blowout scores, you wouldn't expect much, but you still cannot take this game lightly if you're South. You got to go out there with the same intensity you did against John Marshall and get the job done, get the season rolling. One thing to keep an eye on during this bye week when it's over is that South has been getting a lot of false start calls on the O-line and just on the offense in general. So hopefully they can take this week to freshen up and coach on that and get that fixed, because I feel like without all those calls in the PHS game, South would have had an easy victory. And despite a few false starts in the John Marshall game, I think the O-line played really good, really let the quarterback sit in the pocket and get the ball delivered to his receivers. And while we don't talk about it enough, the O-line is ultimately the glue to the offense if you really think about it. You have to be able to protect the quarterback so he can get the ball out on time and make the big plays. If you get sacked, you can't make the big play because you're holding on to the ball too long. And you also need to have a dual threat offense with that running game. You got to be able to get your runner through the gaps and to the end zone. So as long as the O-line can continue to improve and play well, I think that this win will not be the only win that we have this season. And if we can keep this momentum going, losing can be contagious, but so can winning in that same arena. So I think we could have a real dangerous team to end the season. And I know Coach Thompson is eager to get back to work with the fellows, but it has to feel good to get your first win as the head coach of the Patriots, taking over just this year. Congratulations to him and the squad, pulling out the win against John Marshall. Very well earned. And now, unfortunately for us football fans, for right now, the Patriots are going on the road after their bye week for a little while. We won't see them till about a week before Halloween, where they face Lindsley for the homecoming game. It's going to be a pink out theme / Barbie theme in the student section. So be prepared. Wear some pink. It's going to be absolutely incredible. And hopefully we can pull out another win there. But that is definitely something to get excited about. And if you're a South fan that's really not into sports all that much, I would highly recommend you come see our award-winning Patriot Marching Band. It seems like the main words in their dictionary are grand champions. That's often what they're winning at their competition with their show of Billy Joel. So definitely come to see them at halftime. Their show is absolutely wonderful. You do not want to miss out on the show or the stand tunes that we got going down at Erickson. And we all know those stand tunes and stadium lights hit a lot different when your team is winning the game. And to be fair, John Marshall and Parkersburg South has been somewhat of a rivalry that, of course, the Patriots have been owning for the last few years. According to my research, we've played John Marshall 28 times, winning 18 of them, losing 10 of them. We have also won 6 of the last 7 of these meetings. And folks, let's be fair, if John Marshall's not losing to one South in football, they're losing in the other. I believe the girls' soccer team also recently beat John Marshall, crushing their hopes in a different type of football, and they still weren't able to come on top. And then the boys' soccer team is playing them here very soon, I believe, in October. So hopefully we can keep that streak alive. John Marshall, I'd say it's probably time for their school to hit the showers. They're not doing too hot against the Patriots in sports right now, but I'm not complaining. In fact, I find it rather entertaining. But hey, speaking of entertaining, I'm sure John Marshall was as well. They probably got a great stay here in Parkersburg, home to many car washes and Mexican restaurants of their choosing. I'm sure they had an absolute blast, probably much more sophisticated than it is down in Glendale, West Virginia. But I'm sure John Marshall is happy to be back home as a new Dollar General store is open there, and that's probably the most exciting thing you're going to find over in Glendale, West Virginia. And if John Marshall keeps playing like that, I'm pretty sure the Spirit Halloween stores are opening, and their stadium might be on the list for that. As for us here in Parkersburg, the only thing I really see opening is opportunity for this Patriot football team to really turn the season around. After the blowout win, this is really a perfect opportunity to get yourselves right, get healthy. We obviously know there's a couple injuries going on, so my prayers for them, and hopefully they can get well soon. And it just gives the team another week to focus and get right before they go on to take 0-5 Hurricane on the road. And if we see that same fire that we got from South against John Marshall, I don't think they're going to stand a chance. So again, just a great win overall. Congratulations to everyone on the staff, Coach Thompson, everyone on the offensive defense. We got our first win. The student section, we can finally breathe a little bit and stay alive because this season is not over. We have more football to play, and hopefully it's some good football. And now I haven't really talked about the podcast itself yet. This is probably going to be a monthly or maybe twice a month kind of thing. This will be considered a shorter episode as the first one, just kind of recapping the football game against John Marshall. But you can definitely expect some interviews and maybe some reels and shorts coming on this channel and the Instagram account. So definitely stay tuned for that. If you feel so inclined, make sure to share this link to all your stories, everything, anybody you know. You can definitely expect some live streams, maybe some South merch giveaways, concession giveaways, things like that in the future at Erickson. And until then, get excited. The next home game is against Lindsley, the Barbie Pinkout game on October 24th. Get some rest today knowing Coach Thompson and the boys finally got their first win of the season and absolutely eviscerated John Marshall. And as for the listeners, go out and do something great this week, and if you fail to do that, just blame the refs. I'm going to end off here with some post-game reaction audio. If you have any of you and your friends after a South game, send it to the Instagram, send it to an email on the Instagram. I would love to add your guys' audio clips to the end of the show, but for now, I'm calling it quits. Go South.
John Marshall, what happened?
They lost. We didn't win.